recognize most of you are now. I thank you for coming and listening again for me for another day. It's been quite a long journey, but we are close to the end. And as I promised last week, the last class, today I think I will go to the implementation aspect. This is of interest, especially if you are a teacher educator, you teach other people to become teachers, or you are teachers in your own right. And if you want to do this to your students, what are the necessary things to prepare? Okay, so today I will discuss that part of the doing, implementing. I don't think today I will do any practical exercise. Okay, let me just share the screen first. Okay. Is it visible? Can everyone see the screen?
Not yet. No. Yeah.
Not yet. Let me see. Oh, I mean, yeah, I should choose, right? That's right. It's not there. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me see. As usual, we will open the chat. In other words, if there is any question while I'm speaking, you can post it in the chat box. Now, where is my chat box? Yeah, it is. Chat. I just want to open it first. Come I don't see it. Let me drag this, sorry. Okay. Okay, Alhamdulillah, I'm set. All set. As Pratisha I mentioned last week, we discussed about we did some practice and we discussed about the teachers how to handle philosophical inquiry, what it needs for a effective teacher in this. Okay, and today I will share with you the implementation, the preparation for a teacher to do this. And I will start by saying that I've got these ideas from doing the empirical study myself with about 11 schools, 11 classes, I think, in the district where IIUM is located. Okay, and from what the teachers mentioned, okay, as you can see in the PowerPoint here, they said that if we were to carry out this philosophical inquiry, there needs to be a change in the teacher's mindset. I think you know that the mindset from being teacher-centered to student-centered, from being just following what the local authorities said to someone who has his own way of doing this. Okay, so this is the change. You cannot just be passive. The role of the teacher also change. So I mean, the mindset of the teacher has to change first of all. In other words, she has to also change from being the sage on the stage to the sage by the side, a facilitator, but a very good one. Okay, and then they also need to change some way of preparing the lesson and the lesson plan, which I will describe after this. Okay. Okay, the teacher's role in the implementation of teaching and learning, it's no more the sage on the stage. They have to learn how to stop themselves, be patient rather than immediately answering a student's question. And in fact, they have to change to someone who will welcome question and throw back questions. So these are another change. And then the other thing is how you evaluate student also change. Because if you are so what you call entrenched with giving exam, which is paper pencil, okay, then you realize that in this pedagogy, that is not the mean way. And even if we test using paper and pencil, the nature of the question will also change. It's not as interested in the product more than the process. Okay, so this is the first thing that teachers said. After they've gone through the program, they've gone through the training. So they said that it's necessary to change. So what are the changes in the daily lesson plan? So if you are talking about preparing students or teachers to do this, okay, first of all is, of course, any lesson plans. I think whether you're in America or in Malaysia or in Iran, okay, or in Africa, or Nigeria, okay, I know there's Abdullahi in Nigeria or Brunei, Brother Ali Umar, okay. Every lesson plan has an objective, or what we call today learning outcome. It still be the same, but there are some differences in terms of the product and the process. Here, we are not more interested in the product, but we are more interested in the process, as I told you in the first 3 lectures, okay, this change. Second thing, the teacher has to think of what line of inquiry he or she has to do during the lesson. Line of inquiry is the investigation, the exploration that you will do with the students. So this one is something new. You don't have it in a conventional, typical lesson plan, okay? The thing is, maybe the teacher has to think of questions that she or he will want to inquire. So think of the questions. Although we say that the student will raise all the questions, but sometimes they miss the question that you will lead you to the big ideas or the big agenda. So you have to think of questions before you start teaching. Okay, it can be clarification question, it can be probing question, depending on your stimulus material. And then in this pedagogy, you really have to respect and appreciate all the students. So in other words, this has to be sort of understood through the lesson plan. You have to give students the space to express their views and arguments. Okay, you have to think of how to deliberate in a democratic manner. And you have to learn how to develop and build upon ideas. So what kind of question you need to throw, what kind of statement you need to make. So we will go to a sample daily lesson plan, but we don't expect teachers to be spending so much time on lesson plan. That was what they fear, because they don't have much time. So these changes is not involving the whole lesson plan, but the few most important part of the lesson plan. Okay, and the more you do it, the more perfect you become. Or like the Malay proverb says, sehari selembar benang, lama-lama menjadi sehelai kain. So day by day you what do you call this? You pull in the thread, you weave the thread. In the long run, it become a piece of cloth. Okay, so you have to practice. Okay, now so this is a lesson plan template. We consider it a template. Okay, so as we mentioned just now, one of the first thing the teacher has to consider is what kind of stimulus material to give. Okay, what kind of stimulus material to use. Okay, so this is your choice. You can use short passage, you can use poster, you can use video clip, you can use many things. Okay, but find the one that is most effective depending on the student's ability and level. Okay, and then you have to think of the line of inquiry based on that stimulus material. Then you have the discussion plan. The discussion plan is the list of expected questions according to the LOI, line of inquiry, with idea 1, with idea 2, or concept 1, concept 2. Okay, and also then come up with the learning outcomes. And normally, I think one of the basic things is you want to make sure that the student understood or comprehend whatever ideas that is portrayed in the stimulus material. And then only you go to the five or four C's. You can call it critical, creative thinking, caring thinking, collaboration, and cooperation. Collaboration and cooperation comes through the way you handle the student later on, whether they are doing it individually or they're doing it in group or they're doing it as a community of inquiry. Okay, and then you might think of values you want to highlight, discuss, and so that it will be hopefully internalized by the students. Again, the rest of the thing is the same, except I would explain it this way. There's set induction. Every lesson plan has a set induction. It depends on how you want to do it. Some people show something related to the stimulus material and ask a question related to the topic. Okay, to prepare students for what is coming. That is the purpose of the set induction anyway. Okay, and then you have the initial development, where this is where you you do something with the stimulus material, whether you read the text, you watch the video clip to stimulate questions. And what you do after that, the student raise questions and you record it on the blackboard or the whiteboard. Okay. And after that, you organize the questions so that you get an agenda for your meeting. Okay. So remember, we organize, we categorize, we classify the question into certain themes. So we are seeking the themes or problems, and we are focusing on the LOI questions. That is the main thing, because you already know what is your LOI. So you look for questions that is able to connect to the LOI. So in other words, if they don't have questions that connect to the LOI and you have prepared in your discussion plan, then you should throw out that question while everyone was raising the questions. If nobody raised that question, everyone will miss the LOI. Okay. And we say that raising the question, selecting the themes, you notice that the noun here are students. So in other words, we are expecting this to be student-centered. It's like one student to volunteer, raise a question, or record on the blackboard. They volunteer to identify the categories. And then even when we are talking about deliberation and PI, philosophical inquiry, where we examine the question one theme at a time deeply, building upon each other's, okay? We also want the student, if possible, the student decide which question to discuss first. Although I was authoritarian in the last practice where I chose the question, okay? Because there is a little bit of difference between teaching online and teaching face-to-face. Because if you are teaching face-to-face, you can see the body signal and so on, and you can see all your students. But here you cannot see everyone. You can see only a few. Okay, so that's why it's a bit difficult until we get used to it. Okay, so this during deliberation and philosophical inquiry, we are saying that this is the method we're going to use, COI and PI skills. Okay, so we don't need to write very lengthily here. And then finally, we end with in-class evaluation or assessment, that is through activities for practice. If there is ample time, because you know this method requires a long time for deliberation. So it's always nice to reserve 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do some activities. Otherwise, the student will find it a bit, if it is a long class, very boring. But otherwise, if it is 1 hour class, you should do that. But if 40 minutes class, then it might not be sufficient. Okay, then you have to do it the next class, the activities in the next class. And the way you conduct the activities, you should also write on the how, which is whether it's one whole class group or small groups or individually. And finally, you want the closure, the conclusion to be wrapped up by the student themselves with cooperating one another, you know. So then you get it from them, not from us. Okay. So this is a basic lesson plan. The template is in this way. Okay. You can change it according to your situation, but normally when I train teachers, this is the what they call the basic lesson plan. Okay, so this is an example of a lesson plan for an English lesson, Form 4, which is about grade 10. Okay, and they have a topic in the syllabus called people and values. So this was from one of the teachers that I observed, and the stimulus material she used was a story, The Model Millionaire by Oscar Wilde, a famous writer, right? And then she has written the teacher has written 3 lines of inquiry here. In that story, she wanted to highlight the concepts of rich and poor. Do not judge a book by its cover, okay? And no reward for kindness other than kindness. So that, I think the third lines should remind you of something from the Quran, isn't it? Does it ring any bell to anyone? Al jazaul ihsan illa al ihsan. Ar-Rahman. Okay, so this is I mean, she might not be able to relate to this Quran, but when I saw that, I know that could be related to the Quran, because Allah says in Surah Ar-Rahman, Al jazaul ihsan illa al ihsan. Okay. So that's why when people act to us kindly, like our wife or our husband, and we don't treat them well, don't be disappointed when they are frustrated, because this is the nature Allah has said, you don't return kindness with other than kindness. Okay. And then in the discussion plan, this is what she has written here. In the first 2 are mainly for comprehensions, because these students are not native speakers. Okay. So she would say what are the meanings of, whether they understood the meaning of some difficult words for her to make sure that they understood, and then to explain, and then to summarize the story in their own words. Because if they can do that, then that means they understood the passage, if it's a passage or if it's a video clip. Okay. So then, what's the question for the LOI1? Who is rich and who is poor in this story, and why? So this is the teacher's planning. Okay, this one is not the student's question. This is the teacher's question. She plans. She will ask this if nobody else asks the question. Okay, and then for inquiry 2, LOI 2, was Yuji, one of the characters, judging the book by its cover when he first saw the Baron? Why? So again here, the Baron is a rich man, Yuji is a poor man, I guess. So was he judging the book by its cover? So they have to explain the meaning of judging the book by its cover. It's a phrase, okay? It's a colloquial phrase, okay? And then, do you think Yuji changed his mind about Baron when he received a big gift from him? Why was Baron so impressed? That's for LOI 3. Why was the Baron so impressed with Yuji's donation or generosity? So this is the teacher's discussion plan. This one the teacher has to do it before she goes into the class. This is her preparation. You cannot assume that when I go to class, just see the passage and from there I can just, you can do that if you're an experienced teacher, you have done it many times, but at the beginning you have to prepare, okay? And then what are the learning outcomes? These are learning outcomes. Students should be able to clarify the concept of rich and poor, economically and in manners or characters, okay? Explain the phrase, judging a book by its cover. Give reason for thinking that there is no reward for kindness other than kindness. Okay, so then the rest are what is standard. Okay, what is standard that's normally done. For example, the warm-up, she says that she will ask them to guess what the story is about by asking this question. Okay, and then initial development, she will ask them to take turn reading and raise questions. And then ask the student to identify the themes and classify the questions with the teacher as facilitator. And then examine the question one theme at a time. Discuss the following statement. And then for her activities, she said, discuss the following statement, justify their answers. Do you need to be rich in order to be successful? Which one is more important in our lives, attitude or money? So this one, she said that the student will work in groups of 3. So that's why I said about 5 minutes. They'll discuss and then they will conclude. So this is a typical lesson plan. As you can see, the only difference with the conventional one is like the stimulus materials, the line of inquiry, the discussion plan, and the learning outcomes. You notice the learning outcome is clarify the concept, explain the phrase, give reasons. It's very what do you call this? Thinking verbs. Thinking verbs. Clarify, explain, give reasons. Okay. So this the values is embedded there, the concept rich and poor. Okay. So this is one example of a lesson plan in English. Okay. Now, if you have any question, let me know. Okay, through your chat box. Okay, we have read this last week. If you remember, Surah Al-Ma'un. Okay, Afaf helping the poor. Okay, I'm not going to read this again. You remember the story, maybe. If you did not come last week, maybe you wouldn't know. I'm so sorry. Okay. Now, if I give you 3 minutes, can you put your LOI, discussion plan, learning outcome, and sex induction? No need sex induction, just the first three line: LOI, discussion plan, and learning outcomes. Maybe remember the question that you asked last week. If you remember the questions, you can try. I give it 3 minutes. Okay. For those who did not, I can't go to the other. I can't go to the other slides because the rest need this slide. What do you think was the line inquiry that we had last week? Can you just remember LOI, discussion plan, and learning outcome? Then I'll go to the previous slide for those who were not present last week to see what the story is about. Okay, is it okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll just go back to the previous slide. For those who were not here, you can read the story. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. Okay, finish reading. Then you feel this. Okay, 1 minute, and I will start asking those who have done it. Okay, let's look at line inquiry 1. Anyone wants to volunteer their answer? How many LOI do you have? Okay, Brother D.
Can unmute, yeah.
Just say it out.
Anyone can unmute.
You can unmute your mic.
Fab,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, actually I have 5.
Oh, you have 5. So many. Actually,
Can you hear?
two are ideal. Okay. More than 2 is already too much because you don't have that much time. Okay. Anyway, just listen. Let's listen to your most important 3.
Okay. What does it mean to be a human? Do we help a stranger? Do we act upon what we memorize from the Quran?
Okay. Now, line of inquiry is a bit about concept or ideas. So what are the important concepts or ideas that you have here? Because you're asking question. That is more like a discussion plan.
Okay. How about, the concept of helping and misery?
The concept of helping. The
And
concept of
misery.
helping and miserly. Two
Yes.
concepts. Talking about 2 concepts.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember we discussed this last week. What was the focus we were discussing? That would be the line of inquiry. Concept of helping and being and miserly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Prof. Can I
Yeah,
something?
sure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. I already add in the
Yeah,
chat
I saw
box.
in the chat. It said, offer to help
Yes.
the poor without judgment. Consider your family situation. Do not encourage. Again, this is see the line of inquiry. You say consider your family situation is not a line of inquiry. What is it? Let's say concept of helping the poor. Yeah, offer helping the poor. Okay.
Yeah.
Helping the
Yes.
poor without judgment, right? Okay, that is one. But I don't want to say concept of helping the poor without judgment. You just say helping the poor because the without judgment will come in the discussion, right? So here is concept. What is it? Concept of helping the poor. Okay. What else? What other concept do you have? We raised many questions last time, and we discussed what was it that we discussed? You can recall.
Yeah. The point that I gave, the third one, I gave this one that do not encourage people to beg.
So
This one, it was my, I believe in that.
Like LOI because you mean not encourage people to beg, right? Maybe you can say what is the concept of, you see, poor is now helping the poor. That is already there. Maybe we also ask whether trustworthy, concept of trustworthy.
That's right.
Because we were asking whether what's the name of the girl? Afaf.
Prof.
Afaf, whether she is a trustworthy girl or not. Amanah. The concept amanah, right? You say amanah.
Yeah, amana, yes.
And then, or can we have can you use someone's money to donate? So what is charity? Something like charity. So these are the LOI. It's not like a question in the discussion plan. It's like what are the big ideas? What are the big ideas? So Brother Sharan have written here, how do you prioritize your action? Your ideal duty, or maybe you don't say how. Say the LOI is prioritizing our action. Okay, prioritizing one's action. Okay, Brother Faisal said one is poverty, or what is poverty? Yeah, poverty. Okay, poverty. That's another concept. Amanah is already there. Okay, and the other one is upbringing we don't really know the upbringing in this particular case. Those are our guess, but the main thing that the ideas that probably the writer has is about poverty, about trustworthiness, about making a decision in the dilemma. Okay, so you can have any one of those, not the discussion plan yet. Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
then
sorry, Prof. Is that the LOI is like a problem statement? For example, if you want to write a like our proposal, is it? Say?
no, it's not problem statement. It is the big ideas.
How is it related to our objective of the story of
Okay,
the
then
event?
you can say learning outcome. For example, number one, you say helping the poor.
Yes,
Okay?
correct.
So then the question you can ask is, I mean, the learning outcome is, for example, learning outcome is how would you help? How would one help? What is the okay? Maybe the first question is, what is poverty? Okay, and then how do you help the poor? Okay, and then was Afaf a trustworthy person? Or if you said that Afaf's problem solving skill, okay, maybe you said that LOI is how to solve a problem. Did Afaf do the right thing? So these are some the LOI is, but that one is question. LOI means like
This is my question.
I give you the examples now, right? I know whether I have. So this the learning outcome is okay. Before that,
sorry, Prof. May I ask question?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it? It should be in question format, or which format should be?
The LOI. It doesn't have to be a question format. It just has to be sometimes just ideas. No. Maybe I gave you the wrong thing in because I put everything just now in the form of question, right? Is it?
No, it is not.
Yeah.
It is not.
So these are the big ideas. Big ideas. Okay. Doesn't have to be in the form of question. The question come under the discussion plan. Okay. So we have to find out what is the ideas first. Okay.
So is it a reality, Prof?
One at a time. Who is it?
Is it the reality?
Reality? What?
Reality of, like for example, in the reality of this story, what is the real thing that is happening?
Oh, the screen is a bit too high. The reality. How do you know? Maybe you can say. You want to know whether that. Maybe even pretend also is one of the concept that you want to discuss here. Okay. So let me show you what I had in mind when this story was written. Okay. These were the leading ideas. We read episode 1. So I would say that the leading ideas in episode 1 was pretend. It can be strangers. It can be prayer. It can be charity. Anything. And how do we know? Because you can take any of these things. Because these are the ideas. That's why I say LOI is ideas. Okay. Or it can be leading values. Values, trustworthiness. Don't be sarcastic. Remember the boy was sarcastic? And then sympathy, empathy, helping the poor, right and wrong. So you see there's so much. But you just pick something that you feel for you is of interest to share. Okay. Of course, the leading inquiry skill, this will be done through the committee of inquiry, right? So you don't have to write this in the LOI. But these two things, ideas and values, and also the third one, confusion. In that story, is Afaf trustworthy? I think you all asked. That was one thing that you all asked. Did she do the right thing, or how do we know that the beggars are not pretending? So you can consider, let's say, if you're interested in, okay, what is charity? Put charity there, as leading LOI, charity. And then, or relationship between prayer and charity. You understand? That was the main idea, isn't it? The main idea of Surah Al-Maun is what is the relationship between prayer and charity, or prayer and good deeds. Okay, and then you have so you can get any of the LOI from this. Okay, and then you can also include this trustworthiness as LOI. Not Afaf is trustworthy. So when you come to the discussion plan, then you will have all your questions. What is this? Yeah, Sister Nadia wants to in. Please.
Yeah, already.
That okay, yeah. Okay, next. So that anyone has the. I think the discussion plan you can see from. Oh yeah, this is what I was thinking to share with you. Okay, I don't know whether you did it this way. Okay, this is how I felt it should be. The stimulus material is a story, Mira and helping the poor. Okay, I put here how is it? Oops, sorry. Reading a story is presumed that students have read the surah. So it's presumed. In other words, you did it after they have read the surah, whatever. Okay, and then you have the concept of prayer and good deeds. That's the first LOI that was in my mind. Okay, concept of pretending, and then making the right decision in a dilemma. So that is an LOI. But then when you do the discussion plan, this one the same thing as what the other lesson plan had. Okay, but LOI 1, this is where I put the question in, Sister Naib and Brother Shadi. Okay, the question comes here. For example, if my LOI was pray and good deeds, how does Afaf understand the surah? This was your question last week, Shadi. Whether she understand it or not. Okay, how is prayer connected to good action? So that is my first discussion plan. My first questions related to that. I don't have to prepare many questions. One question for one LOI because I'm expecting students to come up with the question. My question is only preserved if they did not come up with this question. Because I'm interested in this. As a teacher, I thought that was the content of my discussion today. Okay. And number 2, for the concept of pretending, Kelton children pretend to get sympathy. Pretend in order to get sympathy. Okay. And number 3, was Afaf's action praiseworthy? So this is the dilemma. Okay. And then the learning outcomes. This is where I put the learning outcomes. Sorry, keep going there. Students should be able to explain the connection between prayers and good deeds. Explain the meaning. I'm using the word explain only here. Explain the meaning of pretend and whether children can pretend. And decide whether Afaf did the correct thing. So this is just an example. You can give other examples, based on your LOI. Okay. And then the rest are the same. Okay, maybe the set induction. I said warm-up activity. So teachers ask students how much they know of Surah Al-Maun. Who can recite the surah? What are some of the words you know from the surah, for example? And the rest are the same, except that I have exercise here on problems and good or bad action. And I want them to work in groups of 3, and therefore then they will conclude. So basically, if you notice, basically the most important part, the most important difference in this pedagogy, in its preparation compared to other lesson plan, is this part. The first 3 parts, I mean the first until the learning outcome. Yeah. So you notice that the learning outcome is more of the ability of students to explain, to decide, to think, to clarify, or similar verbal behaviorist form of writing learning outcome. But the thing here is more with the concepts. Okay, so this is the difference. If you are teaching language, just now the teacher did not put much of the language part. It's more here is more of the comprehension, and that means the reading skills. Okay. So this is basically a lesson plan, And I'm just highlighting some differences as compared to the normal lesson plan that doesn't have discussion plan, that doesn't have line of inquiry, but they do have learning outcomes and so on. Okay, so it's not a big shift, but the teacher will have difficulty in implementation, because this part is where the teachers have to learn the skill, and this is where they have difficulty. So the first difficulty they have is this shift in writing lesson plan in this first 3 parts. And then the second part is here, when everything here, students have to be active. Yeah. For example, when students ask question, one of the teacher always told me was that she has learned from this pedagogy to hold back herself. I think I talked to you about this, right? In this pedagogy, you have to hold back yourself from answering any question, because that is the normal instinct. When a student asks the teacher a question, the teacher want to answer. But in this pedagogy, you have to hold yourself back and then throw back the question to other students. You see? So this is what they've learned in order to implement this. It's this part, okay? But they can't write it down there. So it's the observation. So this was your question. So you raised this question before about the amanah, about the nation, yeah, about understanding the verses, the priority of giving money, balancing between, this is the dilemma, balancing between paying the fees and donating the money. So I think these are good questions, but you can also have other group raising some other questions. This is from another group that I had before, okay? So they were asking, did Afaf do the right thing? Yeah. What does the Quran? Why the Quran says prayers of those who help the poor is useless? So those are the questions. But this one we already discussed. You can have many questions. Okay. And then we have activity. For example, up to you. You can form groups of 13, for example. They will pretend to be one of the following cast. There's so many casts. And then you ask them to memorize the text and make a play on it. Then conduct a competition, the best actor and the best actress. Okay. Actually, students love this. Students love to act. Okay. I know one school that have this program. They even showed me the acting that they had based on the text, because the text always have dialogue. Okay. And the student love it so much. And then from here, you can say whether is it easy to pretend, because acting is pretending, right? So anyway, this is one example of problems. In other words, as a teacher, our teachers are not. I'm saying, when I say our teachers, I'm talking about Malaysian teachers. Okay, our teachers are not creative enough in terms of designing their problems. That's why they like to take textbook with problems already, or they will buy a workbook that have questions. But in this pedagogy, we have to learn how to convert even the passage in the text into story form, which I taught them. For example, the text is a narrative, like an essay without any dialogue at all. So I said, why don't you change it and put dialogue? So they start putting people, character, and dialogue. Then it becomes more interesting to the students. So this is one of the skills the teacher has to have. But they will complain in the beginning because of time. But this is necessary. If you want it to be interesting, you have to modify whatever materials that you were given in the textbook, or even by the ministry, but you have to change it. So, and then after that, you have to come up with activities. You don't have to do so many activities. One or two is enough, because already you spend a long time in the discussion session. Okay. So, for example, here, okay, because there was a problem, right? So now we want to find out whether do they understand what is the problem. So we just ask them, classify whether the following are problems or not. And then we said, put them in the appropriate squares below. There is some box. For example, Mariam could not tie her shoelaces. So is that a problem or not a problem? Is that a problem or not a problem? She could not tie her shoelaces. Okay, who wants to answer in the chat? Huh? Yes, Brother Nasir, I'm glad that you are grateful to me. Alhamdulillah, it's all Allah's, okay? So, do you think number one is a problem? Naib say it's not really. Shadi say it could be a problem because maybe she cannot tie her shoelace. Huh? So she has to learn how to tie the shoelace. But look at number two. Chong sprinkle some grains on the ground for the chickens. Is that a problem or not a problem? What do you think about number two? So that's why I said I have a box here. Number one is done already. Number one is a problem because she cannot tie a shoelace. Somebody has to teach her how to tie the shoelace. What about number two? Nobody wants to answer? Is there any problem if I sprinkle grains on the ground for chicken? I mean, for hens? I don't think there should be a problem, is there? I mean, that's where they want to eat, isn't it? So it's not a problem. So it's number two then. So number three. Nora left her exercise book at home. Brother Sultan, is that depend for question number three or question number two? Number three is a problem. Oh, okay. Who disagree with Farida? Shadi also say number three is a problem. Who disagree? Sultan was saying number two depends. Question number two depends. Okay, maybe you can explain what do you mean by it depends, Brother Sultan. Brother Sultan, you want to explain? You want to explain? Can you unmute your
Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Can you unmute it? Why you say depends? Depends on what? To decide on number two. Place is important. You mean place whether on the ground or what? On the ground. But let's say hens. I mean hens. You can put it anywhere. They will eat it, right? That's not a problem, I think. But I think number three is not a simple yes problem. If she left her exercise book at home, it'd be a problem if the teacher want to use the exercise book, right? But if there is no use for the book today in class, would that be a problem?
No
Not a problem, right? So it is in the other box. So it should be in the blue box there or purple box. So it looks easy, but they really have to think about it actually. So teachers have to be creative in creating this kind of exercise, okay, related to the ideas that is found in the passage, okay. Here's another one. These are all based from the story just now. What is good and what is bad? Take the answer in the appropriate box. We always have this. Always good, always bad, not sure. Okay. A problem, not a problem, or not sure. There's always that. Okay. So that will widen the student's horizon. Otherwise, like it's yes or no. You know. So for example, stealing. I think everyone will say it's always bad. Some people say, I mean, you can argue about it. Okay. Helping the poor is always, somebody will say always good. Huh? And then somebody will say, oh, maybe they are pretending. Huh? So this is where the problem lies. Anyway, so these are things that you do as a teacher, okay? And then you remember these are the things that we want the student to have. So how do we evaluate? How do you evaluate? So this is one of the evaluation that we use normally. You don't give them marks, but if you are a teacher evaluating the session with your students, you can put down all the skills of speaking and listening, reasoning, metacognition, discipline, open-mindedness. You can, what do you call this? You can use all of this as it is, if you like it, okay, or you can modify it, okay, and then you put a scale of 1 to 4, or you can create your own scale because you want to show, for example, in some empirical study, we wanted to show after how many sessions you will get students to be able to do these things. There are more, for example, more 3 or more 4 rather than number 1. 1 is need serious focus, 2 is need greater focus. So from excellent to less serious, need serious focus to excellent. Or you can say rare and most frequent. You can put your own scale, okay, to see. So we have that, and then we also have, this is what we use if we want to evaluate teachers. To evaluate teachers, we need to see whether they understood the seating arrangement. For example, are the students sitting in a circle? Is the facilitator in a position within the group so that she can speak to and listen to each student? Okay. So number 3 is the room quiet so that students can hear what each other say. Did the facilitator begin by asking students to read the given material one after another? Did all students have at least one chance at reading the text? You know. So these are the questions that you would ask. And then you have a checklist, just check. And then is the facilitator asking all questions? Does facilitator encourage students to comment on what each other says? So these are the way we evaluate facilitator. And if they know what is missing, next time they will try to improve what they don't have. And reduce what they don't have.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sister, please. Sister?
Thank you so much. Prof, based on what criteria we can set our evaluation format for evaluating our student?
What is the criteria?
How, based on what criteria? Yeah.
This is the criteria that I'm giving you. For example, for philosophical inquiry, we want to know whether they have all these skills, which are speaking and listening. This is what your communication skill, right? But it's not just that. Whether they build up and expand other students' ideas, they challenge other students' ideas, they participate in the deliberation, they listen, they speak calmly. I remember this one's very important, speak calmly, because even other students were saying that, you know, before this, they used to shout at one another okay, to answer the question. But then they've learned to become more well-mannered, they said. So this is a speak calmly when they have differences of opinions, you know. So this is, and then reasoning. So what you are the teacher. You evaluate the class. If you want to do this individually, also can. But then it will be a burden on you if you have 20 students to do this individually. So we see them as a group. Is the group improving or not? We see them as a community. Okay, sister? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Prof.
Good. Okay, now we go to, so these are all our students making inference. So these are specific skills. Okay, see what is missing and what they've got. You can look more for rubric. There is one by Passioni on holistic critical thinking score rubric. Okay, so you can find this in the literature. For example, here they use strong 4, what is it? Acceptable 3, unacceptable 2, weak 1. So if you have, these are the characteristic, okay, for critical thinking. Now let us, in the time that is left, let us do one activity, concept game. Okay, this is what we also have in philosophical inquiry class. This game is very simple. If at the end of the game, you should be able to define who you are. That's why it's called define who am I. Okay, it's called a concept game because it involves concepts. Okay, so normally in the face-to-face teaching and learning, we will have a group of about 3 to 4 students working on this. So this is where we see the collaboration and thinking and the argument among the group. But it's not convenient to do that here because we are all separated, right? I don't think we can discuss as a group like this. Okay, so maybe I will just ask you. Okay, just ask you and you answer me. You would tell me if I say that you're required to classify the items given in the leftmost column into any one of the categories in the next three columns. Either it's part of me, not part of me, or question mark. So question mark means you're not sure. It's part and also not part. Okay, so you put it there. Now, maybe I give you 2 minutes to fill in the blank with by your side. Okay. And then later on, you should define what you mean by part of you, not part of you.
Can I answer, Prof?
Okay, wait, let me get it back. Okay, number 1.
Yeah.
My feet.
Yeah, it's part of me.
It's part of you. Okay, never mind. Let's say
It's clear, yeah.
let's have another one. Is there
Yeah.
anyone who say it's not part of me? Everyone say it's part of you. Okay?
Yeah,
If
okay.
you don't agree, let me know. Okay? My thoughts.
It's not. It can be both. Part of me and not also because I affected by
Wait.
surrounding.
Don't give me your reason first. I'm just asking.
Yeah. Yes.
You say it's part. It's not. It's question mark. It's
both,
question mark
both.
then. For you, it's question mark then, right?
Sorry, Prof?
When you say it's both, that means under the question mark.
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the reason?
Okay, wait. I want to know. Not yet. What about the rest? Do you all have it as part of me? Anyone say it's not part of you?
Everyone say part of me.
My thoughts.
Oh, my thought.
my
I'm
thought.
not sure.
Is it not part of you?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure your thought is not part of you? Where do you think? Outside your head? Inside your head? Where do you think?
I'm not wondering.
Sister Kokam,
Yes.
Naive, okay?
Yes.
Why do you say it's question mark? Where do you think?
Yeah, because
Where are your thoughts?
yeah, because my thought can be from myself and also because I affected by surrounding, by other thought, my parents, my family.
That is their thoughts. But your thoughts, where's your thoughts?
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
my
it's here,
thought.
right? It's here, right? It's in you.
No, it's physically, yes, physically, but thought is different, Prof.
Huh?
My brain, yeah, my brain is part of me, but my mind, my thought is not
Your
completely.
mind is not with you.
My brain, yeah, physically.
Your mind is
my
not
brain
also with you.
it is, but not 100%.
Okay. I don't
No.
argue with that.
It's
I think
affected.
your thought is in you, unless you can really convince me my thought is over there. It's somebody else. Huh? My thought is here. Is it me? Okay, let's look. My soul. Are you going to say that your soul is also outside of you? Who says my soul is part of me? Everyone say your soul part of you? Everyone say part of you, right? Okay, let's agree on that. Okay. My feelings.
I'm not sure.
Not sure, Brother Sharan? Is that
Changing
you?
all the time.
Okay, what can you tell us why you say my feelings not part of you? Where is
Because
your feeling?
it changes all the time.
Yeah, but where is your feeling? Where do you feel?
Oh, in my heart.
In your hand? In your heart, right? Your feeling is here. Okay, it's part of you. Okay. It changes, doesn't matter, but it's part of you. Okay. My memories.
That's part of me.
Sorry, Prof. The main.
Huh? Yes.
Prof,
Okay.
the main question is.
Wait, never mind.
What is the source of this one?
Huh? What is what?
Tanayib, go ahead.
The main question is, where is the source of the item that's given here? The source?
Source? No, I'm not asking the source. I'm asking that because you see, we have not come something that is tricky. This one easy because all feeling, memory, thoughts
Yes.
is inside you. Your feet is also your feet is physical. The rest are not physical, but still they are part of you. Okay, we will explain. That's why we will explain later on how do you decide. Okay, now my saliva.
Yes.
The saliva that you have in your mouth.
Yes, Prof.
Part of
It
you.
is. Yeah.
But when you spit it on the floor, is it part of you?
No, gone.
No. So the saliva can be question mark. Okay, can be question mark because with you is part of you. But once you spit it, it's not part of you. Okay. What about my breath? My breath.
Yeah, when we inhale, yes.
When you breathe in or you breathe out,
Yeah, it's not part of us.
when it's not part of
When
you.
we exhale is not part of us.
Can you have breathing in without breathing out?
Yes, when we breathe in, it's part of us. When we out,
I know, but can you have breathing in without? It's different from spitting on the floor. Okay.
no, it is not. Yeah,
Breathing in and breathing out.
No,
Can we have one
continuous.
without the other?
it's connected to each other.
Connected,
Yeah.
right? So that's why it is. If you say it's not part of you, then you will die, right?
Yes.
Okay. Things I say. Things I say.
I see.
Is it part of you? Not part of you.
Of course, must be responsible, must be part of us.
If we receive a message from Sharan saying that we have class today, Sharan says in his WhatsApp we have class today. Sharan says, okay.
Yeah.
Who says that? Sharan says. Okay.
Yes.
Do we say that? Rosnani say? No, Sharan say. He reminded you. So that say who said whatever is connected to whoever said it, right? The Prophet say hadith, right? So what you say is part of you. You cannot deny unless you are a liar. You agree? Do you agree? Things I say, somebody will remember I say that. But I might deny because I forgot. But once it is somebody say, you said that, so it's part of you. You cannot deny unless you are a liar. Anybody wants to disagree? Things I say is part of me. You cannot deny that unless you are a liar. That's why you better be careful what you say. Okay. My sweat. My sweat. My face. Okay, my face easy, right? It's part of you, okay? My hair before cutting and after cutting. Before cutting, is it part of you? No, nobody wants to respond. You can put in the chat box. Okay, I will stop here because we will take a long time. But my hair before cutting, after cutting. Actually, they are interesting questions. They all can be discussed. My hair before cutting is attached to me, right? Okay. Physically, when things, that's how I would define it. When it's physical, I think that those that are attached to me, like my limbs, my hands, my feet, they are part of me because they are attached to me. You cannot claim that it's not yours, it's not part of you because it's attached to you. Similarly, for the non-physical items like my soul, my thoughts, my feelings, they're also part of you because they are within you. They're within you, right? It's not out there, it's within you. Then there are things I say which already you stated out, but it's still part of you because somebody will say it's you. It's yours. Okay. But how do you distinguish between my hair before cutting and after cutting? Before cutting, it's attached to you. After cutting, it's not attached to you. But does it belong to you? Does the hair belong to you? After cutting, you throw it on the ground. Somebody found the hair. Okay. Does it belong to you?
Depends.
So is there a difference between part of you and belonging to you? How do you know that the hair belongs to you? You do a DNA test. And then they say, oh, that hair is yours. You can't deny that. But it's not part of you anymore. It was yours. So belonging doesn't mean the same as part of you. Yeah? Is that clear? For example, your drawing. Is your drawing part of you? Suppose you are the artist. You draw something very big and then you sell the painting for a big amount of money. I bought the painting. And then can I claim that that painting is mine? Yes, the painting is mine because I bought the painting. What about the painting itself? I mean the frame painting is mine. I bought it. Okay. What about the painting itself? Can I claim that to be mine? Or it is the painter's? No, I cannot claim it to be mine. But if my drawing, whether you bought my painting or not, I can still claim that it was my drawing. I drew that. It came from my idea, right? You agree?
Yes.
My drawing is mine, part of me. But I can sell it to someone. But someone cannot claim it is his drawing. He can only say that he bought the frame with the picture on it. Now it's mine, the whole thing. But the idea of the painting is mine. So here, define who am I. That means me, us. If you look at it, we can say that we have different parts. We have physical parts. We have the inner parts. So that's why when you say this is a concept game of defining who am I, now you understand that who are you? Because you have physical part. That's how you say they are part of me because they are attached to you. But you also have the invisible parts because they are within you. You agree? You agree? But
Yes.
anyway, this is a long game.
But Prof, sorry, Prof, teacher or the student, they will be confused, among the how to say,
No.
non-physical and metaphysical thing.
They won't be confused because we have done this many times. All they should be able to see is that physical things, they are part of you in a different way than the non-physical things. Say for physical thing, we say that they are part of you, they are attached to you. They are attached, your limb, your feet, your hair, they are attached to you, right? So it's part of you. But your feeling, your thoughts, your soul, they are internal. They are part of you because it's in you. Okay? And then there are certain things like your saying, your drawing, they're still part of you because of the idea. The idea. You know? So the idea is yours. So then they can say, oh, now human being, a person is made up of these things, physical and non-physical. Not just the physical. Okay. So this is, but we know that it took about half an hour or more because the group decide first. But the idea is that they will think and they'll be able to reason. So that is why we call this a concept game. Okay. It's very interesting because especially when they differ, then they have to ask. You have to support why you put yours under not part of me, why part of me, and then you become convinced or not with the reasoning by the other groups. Okay. In fact, there are many games. Wait, it's not moving anymore. Okay, wait. Yeah. If you look at this, we have games like involve thinking or don't involve thinking. things that seem to be real and are real, but things that are not real. Rules that can be banned, rules that cannot be banned. So in other words, you create your own games, you know, mine or no mine. Okay. So this for example, mine on the right on this screen here, mine, no mine, and question mark. So we give few things and let the students classify them, and then we at the end of it they should be able to tell us why they put this thing here, why they put this thing here. That means define what is mine. That's how the concept game is played. Okay, easy to create. For example, you're teaching science, you want to teach the concept of mammals, then you give few animals that are mammals, a few animals non-mammals, and then ask them to categorize and classify, and then finally they will give you what is a mammal. Okay, so this is concept games. So this children also have to do things like mind mapping and imaginative, like if there is no name, what happens? So they will give all the different possibilities. So these are kind of things you do with children. Okay. Finally, I said we have some. Brother Shahran has put everything in a blog. All the video clips that I presented. So for those who miss, you can see that blog. But also in that blog is a list of maybe eight articles on empirical studies on Hikmah pedagogy in the various areas. Not number one, number two, questioning skill. Okay. Number three is on primary and secondary school students, which I will discuss maybe next week. Okay. Number four is about primary school students and the use of Hikmah pedagogy and in Quranic stories. Okay. Number five is in moral education, moral reading stage through the Hikmah pedagogy moral education. These are published articles. Okay. Then some are in Malay. So Malay only accessible through in Malay. And then Hikmah pedagogy for teaching Islam education. And this Eddie that is designing, developing, and then evaluating model in development of PI for moral education. Number 8, if you look at number 8, I encourage you to read number 8 because it will show you how the Hikmah pedagogy for the school lesson is developed very clearly in this article. Okay, this was from a PhD thesis. Okay. So maybe for the next class, for the final class, I will discuss some of the evidence for the effectiveness and achievements of Hikmah pedagogy in making the transformative transformation that we talked about in the first class. How we have not been able to transform students, and how using this, especially we are concerned about Islamic education, we hope to transform the students to have the 5 C's, and that will inshallah help them in their current contemporary life, which is more challenging compared to the past. Okay, so I think that that's all that I need to discuss today. If there's any question, we can discuss, we can listen. Any question? Oh.
Thank you so much, Prof. We entertain 1 or 2 questions, or we'll continue next week's final class.
Yeah, inshallah. So I see a lot of familiar names. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for being consistent. Today I didn't hear Ustazah Alimah speaking. Okay. Next week, inshallah. Okay. So I hope you understand the preparation, lesson plan preparation, and then you have seen the demonstration that was the implementation, and then the evaluation, because we are evaluating whether our students improve the 5 C's, not improve. Besides, of course, they improve their scores in the subject matter. Okay, but if they are improving their 5 C's, indirectly they will improve their subject matter. So that one we will discuss next week, inshallah. Okay. So any questions?
We'll postpone for next week.
Postpone next week. Okay. If you have written in the chat, then I can read it, inshallah. Okay, brother Sharan, sorry,
Okay.
I've taken extra time.
Okay, Prof. One thing for sure that this work is such I don't want to say difficult. A lot of thinking in it, not just a simple thing. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say complicated. It is achievable, but
Mhm.
a serious matter. It's not just saying thing without background, without much work has been done. Okay, probably see you next week, inshallah, for the final class.
Next week we will wrap it up, inshallah. Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Assalamualaikum, everyone.